prosecution witness at Donald Trump's so-called hush money trial says Trump was intimately involved with all aspects of a scheme to silence stories about sex that threatened to torpedo his 2016 campaign. The revelation came today from Trump's former lawyer and so-called fixer, Michael Cohen, who took the stand. Well, joining us now for more on the potential impact of his testimony is our legal expert, Wendy Patrick. First of all, Wendy, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather. It was a great day.
Well,
Very
it definitely
exciting.
had a lot of attention in New York today as far as this case is concerned. All eyes were on the so-called star witness. Obviously, that's making huge headlines. But how impactful was Michael Cohen's testimony today?
Well, remember, we're still on direct examination, and he's really held it together. I mean, think about what he was like beforehand. I mean, he's gone from pit bull to poodle. The Michael Cohen we saw on the witness stand was cool, calm, and collected. He didn't fly off the handle. He didn't appear to be particularly distressed by the fact that he had been subpoenaed to testify. Cross-examination is really going to be what we like to call the great engine of truth to reveal whether or not his credibility is intact. Remember, the reason he was called today, Heather, is he is the one that ties together all of those dots. He connects the testimony from last week and the week prior in a fashion that nobody else could. You remember, before today, people were saying, wait a minute, when are we going to hear about the crimes that Mr. Trump is charged with? Not the Stormy Daniels affair. We already heard about that. And I don't believe the jurors needed to hear as much as they did. I think both sides agree on that. But Michael Cohen is finally the one that can tie him to the hush money payments and to the mischaracterization of those payments, which is the basis for this case.
But let's talk about what will happen when he is cross-examined. He is in the past. He has a checker pass, to say the very least.
To say the very least.
To say the very least. And, you know, a lot of people say he's a liar. He's a convict. He's been caught in various schemes before. So obviously the defense will use that tactic, I would think. What's your take on that?
Well, he's a convicted felon who is admitted to being a liar. That's what his felony conviction is about. But he's admitted all of that. And that was part of why he came out so early on after he got out of jail and really admitted that to be able to try to restore some of his credibility in this case. Credibility is corroboration. In a nutshell, that's why he's testifying today rather than having been the first witness. Despite that, he's vulnerable because of his animosity towards Trump, as has been on broad display over the last 2 weeks, including on his latest TikTok post. That's tough, and that's going to be tough, and that may be how they rattle his cage during cross-examination, where maybe some of the old pit bull comes out. That won't be good for the prosecution's case.
So as far as the jury, though, how they're soaking up all of this information when they're hearing from Stormy Daniels and then they're hearing from Michael Cohen, what are you looking for as far as body language in a jury to see how they're taking this in? In
a word, Heather, engagement. I have been following with great interest those that have actually been in the courtroom in front of those jurors and being able to talk about, you know, some woman had her head in her hands during Stormy Daniels' testimony. Others were leaning forward when Michael Cohen was on the stand. They were paying more attention to Michael Cohen than to Stormy Daniels, obviously recognizing he's the one that connects the dots. But you're absolutely right. They're the triers of fact, and all 12 of them are going to have to agree. So I'm going to be looking for the way they are taking in the cross-examination. The direct examination, so far so good, but let's see what happens when he actually is in the hot seat.
Is there any chance Donald Trump will take the stand in this case?
My prediction is no, because he has too much to lose and everything to gain if there's not enough evidence presented by the prosecutors. That's the analysis that he's going to have to go through. But we already know he is able to control himself. Why? Because he is no longer violating the gag order. So to some extent, he can remain self-controlled, but I don't think he wants to risk it with talented prosecutors on the other side knowing exactly how to press his buttons.
Let's talk about a timeline real quick before we run out of time here. We're in May. We have an election coming up in November. How much longer could this case go? And then could it potentially, do people forget about things as we get closer to the election, or will this certainly be top of mind?
This won't be top of mind, and in fact, it already isn't. You're seeing polls coming out that are showing Donald Trump really ahead in some of the swing states. That is either due to them not knowing about this case, voters not following it, or not caring. Remember, this is the least serious of the 4 criminal cases that Donald Trump is facing, and there does not appear to be any indication that the other 3 are going to go to trial before the election. In fact, even if this case is completed and it's a conviction, it'll be on appeal by the time of the election. And you're right, there's a lot of room between now and then. The only thing it appears to be doing right now is keeping him off the campaign trail. And who's to say that's necessarily a bad thing at this point, given the numbers?
All right, Wendy Patrick, we appreciate your legal expertise taking a look at this. Please come back because we're not done with this case
You bet.
yet.
Thanks,
All right,
Heather.
Wendy, thanks. Anna.